In this lecture, we'll see general form of LPP. Given a set of m linear inequalities or equalities and n variables, we want to find non-negative values of these variables, which will satisfy the constraints and optimize. It can be either maximization or minimization. Linear function of these variables, which is objective function, we had already studied. Mathematically, we have m linear inequalities or equalities in n variables. M can be greater than or equal to n. That means inequalities or equalities may be more than number of decision variables. So general form is given by ak1x1 plus ak2x2 up to akn xn may be greater than or equal to or less than or equal to bk, where k runs from 1 to m. When you say k is from 1 to m, means there are m inequalities and x1, x2, xn are decision variables, where each of constraint one and only one of the signs either greater than or equal to or less than or equal to holds. This is quite obvious. Same constraint cannot have both the inequality sign. I can say 2x1 plus 3x2 less than or equal to 5. But in that case, 2x1 plus 3x2 cannot be greater than or equal to 5. But the sign may vary from one constraint to another. You may have a problem which has two constraints of different inequalities. So I can have optimized objective function subject to 2x1 plus 3x2 less than or equal to 5, x1 plus x2 greater than or equal to 7. In these two constraints, in first constraint we had less than or equal to sign. In second constraint, we had greater than or equal to sign. The aim is to find the value of variables xj satisfying 1 and xj greater than or equal to 0, where j defines number of decision variables which were n in number, which maximizes or minimizes a linear function z is equal to c1x1 plus c2x2 up to cnxn. Equation 1 was about the inequalities. So we wanted to find a solution of those inequalities which will optimize objective function given in 2. The akj, bk and cj are assumed to be known constants. And that is why from the very first lecture we are saying that we are dealing with deterministic situation. Deterministic means known and constant. It is assumed that the variable xj can take any non-negative values allowed by 1 and 2. That means solved set of inequalities given in 1 that should optimize objective function given in 2. This non-negative values can be any real number. If the additional restriction is imposed that the variable must be integer, then linear programming problem is regarded as integer programming problem. If in the problem it is already said that we want all the decision variables to be integer, then linear programming problem will be considered as integer programming problem. So now I have a full structure of linear programming problem. Optimize z is equal to c1x1 plus c2x2 up to Cn xn, subject to the constraints ak1 x1 plus ak2 x2 up to akn xn greater than or equal to bk or equal to bk or less than or equal to bk. Constraints are m in number, so k can vary from 1 to n. And non-negativity condition of the decision variables is xj greater than or equal to 0 for all decision variables, that means 1 to n, should get satisfied. So this was general form of linear programming problem. Now let us have canonical form. In general, less than or equal to constraints will be associated with maximization of LPP and greater than or equal to constraints with minimization of LPP. So if problem has constraints of the type less than or equal to, then most of the time you will have to maximize objective function, and if constraints are of the type greater than or equal to, then your problem will be of minimization type. So canonical form of maximization problem is maximize z is equal to c1 x1 plus c2 x2 plus cn xn, subject to the constraints ak1 x1 plus ak2 x2 plus akn xn less than or equal to b. K represents number of m constraints and j represents number of n non-negative decision variables. Here see, when maximization of the objective function is required, your constraint should be of the type less than or equal to. Next, let us define minimization's canonical form. Minimize z is equal to c1 x1 plus c2 x2 plus cn xn, subject to the constraints ak1 x1 plus ak2 x2 up to akn xn greater than or equal to bk. K runs from 1 to m, which represents number of constraints, and j represents number of decision variables which are non-negative in nature. So here, when minimization is involved, your constraints should be of the type greater than or equal to. Let us have some notes. Different constraints may have different signs. I had already said earlier. When nothing is mentioned about the non-negativity of the variables, they are said to be unrestricted in sign. So if problem stated doesn't say that what are the values, that what are the nature of the decision variables, then we can assume it to be unrestricted in sign. To convert them in order that they can be set according to format of the LPP. Format of the LPP is non-negativity of the constraints. We write the unrestricted variable xj as a difference of two non-negative variables, say xj dash and xj double dash. That is, write xj is equal to xj dash minus xj double dash, and here you can impose condition of non-negativity on xj dash and xj double dash. The theoretical discussion is based on n decision variables and m constraints, where number of decision variables are more than number of constraints. So we can get the unique solution or multiple solution. For solving any LPP by algebraic or analytical method, what are the necessary steps you need to work out? So first step is convert inequalities or inequations into equalities. When you convert inequality into equality, that means inequation gets transformed to equations. This can be done by so-called slack and surplus variables. Consider an inequality of the form ak1 x1 plus ak2 x2 plus akn xn less than or equal to bk. But when you have constraint of the type less than or equal to, what exactly physical interpretation is? That is, you have resources more than requirement. So in that case, we will introduce a variable Snk, which is equal to Bk minus sigma j running from 1 to n Akj xj, and obviously slack variable should also be non-negative. So I can rewrite sigma j equal to 1 to n Akj xj plus Snk equal to Bk. Such a variable is known as Snk is known as slack variable. So here we have slack variable when we had resources more than the requirement. Next, consider inequality of the form ak1x1 plus ak2x2 plus akn(xn) greater than or equal to bk. What exactly when you have greater than or equal to interprets? You have resources less than requirement. That means I should reduce my requirement. So introduce a variable Snk equal to minus Bk plus sigma j equal to 1 to n Akj xj. Again, non-negativity condition of newly introduced variable should get satisfied. So we are putting greater than or equal to sign. If I rewrite this slack variable expression, I have sigma j running from 1 to n Akj xj minus Snk equal to Bk. Such a variable is known as surplus variable. To each slack and or surplus variable, assign a cost coefficient of 0 in the objective function. This means when you add slack variable or surplus variable in constraints, inequality constraints, you will get equations or equality, but that should also get reflected in the objective function. Reflected in objective function with cost coefficient to be 0. Note, original variables and slack or surplus variables are known as legitimate variables associated with given LPP. So now we have original variables, those are decision variables, slack variables or surplus variables. So the whole set is known as legitimate variables associated with given LPP. Now let us see what happens after introducing slack or surplus variable in canonical form of linear programming problem. So we have maximize z is equal to c1x1 plus c2x2 plus cnxn subject to the constraints ak1x1 plus ak2x2 up to aknxn plus snk, that is slack variable, equal to bk. M constraint, so k will take values 1 to m, and xj greater than or equal to 0. Now we have n plus k variables, which includes decision variables and slack variable. So j runs from 1 to up to n plus k. Now let us see how to classify the solutions, because at number of places we are finding solution. So as usual, solution is any x belonging to Rn which satisfies Ax is equal to b is called a solution. Ax is equal to b is constraints representation in matrix form, including slack or surplus variables. Now out of this, we have feasible solution, a solution which satisfies Ax is equal to b and x is non-negative. is called feasible solution to the given LPP. So solution represents solution of equations. Now out of the solutions, filter out those solutions which are non-negative. So from solution we got feasible solution. And collect these feasible solutions. So we have a set, label it as SF, such that x belongs to Rn, Ax is equal to B and x to be non-negative, and this set is known as set of all feasible solutions. Now we can define basic solution. Any solution x in which at most m variables are non-zero is called a basic solution. Once I have basic solution, I can find out basic feasible solution as a solution x, obviously feasible solution, x belonging to Rn in which k is less than or equal to m variables have positive values and rest n minus k have zero values is called basic feasible solution. Once again I am saying we had n decision variables out of which m variables were taken to be outputted as non-zero, which was basic solution. So obviously remaining n minus k variables will take value 0 and such solution is known as basic feasible solution. If k is equal to m, that is possible. If you have 3 variables and 3 equations, I can get the solution if all the 3 decision variables are non-negative. That means if k is equal to m, the basic feasible solution is called non-degenerate. And if k is less than m, the basic feasible solution is called degenerate solution. Now, we have basic feasible solution. We want to optimize objective function. And optimum solution is any feasible solution x belonging to Rn which optimizes the objective function z equal to c transpose x is known as optimal solution to the given LPP. So simple, you solve all inequations for decision variables and slack variables, declare it to be basic solution, filter out, that is solution, filter out non-negative solution that we define as basic feasible solution, and then from that particular set of solutions find out the one which optimizes objective function, and that will be declared as the optimum solution to the given LPP. So we have optimum basic feasible solution if it is optimizing an objective function. Now it may happen that your solution doesn't get bounded. So we may have a case of unbounded solution, that is if the value of the objective function can be increased or decreased infinitely without violating the constraints, then the solution is known as unbounded solution. What does this mean? If I increase x1 to a larger value and value of the objective function corresponding to it increases infinitely, then particular solution is known as unbounded solution. Let us see what are the fundamental results. We had a problem, maximize or minimize z is equal to c transpose x subject to ax is equal to b and x is greater than or equal to 0. Now in previous slides we had solved ax is equal to b, we got x greater than or equal to 0 solutions and collected it in SF. So SF is set of all x, obviously real value, such that ax is equal to b and x is greater than or equal to 0 denotes the set of all feasible solutions. Very first result is SF is a convex set. Convex set means if you have 2 points and join them by a straight line, all the points on the line will satisfy the condition. So here SF, that is set of all feasible solution, will turn out to be convex. If SF is a null set, then there is no solution to the given LPP. This is quite obvious. If SF is a closed bounded convex set, that is a convex polyhedron, given LPP will have an optimal solution assigning finite value to the objective function. So if SF is closed bounded convex set, and that is generally we call it as a convex polyhedron, then it guarantees that the LPP under consideration will have an optimal solution and it will give a finite value to the objective function. If SF is a convex set unbounded in some direction of Rn, then LPP will have a solution, but the optimum value of the objective function may be finite or infinite. This we will see when somebody will go for a graphical representation or graphical solution of LPP. Suppose the set SF of feasible solution to the given LPP is non-empty, then the basic solution to LPP, if it exists, because it may happen, we had already seen that if SF is empty set, there won't be any solution. Okay. So if it exists, lies at the vertex of convex polygon or polyhedron. So this is how it looks like, and these are the vertices. That is what it says. If you have a set SF of feasible solutions to the given LPP, and if basic feasible solution to this LPP exists, then it should be attained only at the vertex of convex polygon. So here we have a polygon with 4 vertices. So you will have a solution only at these 4 vertices. Next result is the set of optimal solutions to the LPP is convex. That is, we already had in the figure in the previous slide. Next result says if the convex set of the feasible solution of AX is equal to B and non-negativity of the decision variables are preserved, then is a convex polyhedron, then at least one of the extreme point, that is vertex, gives a basic feasible solution. Now next result says if the convex set of feasible solution of AX is equal to B and non-negativity of decision variables is a convex polyhedron, then at least one of the extreme points gives a basic feasible solution. That is what this part says. Okay. Here the word at least should be interpreted as one will exist, but you can have more than one extreme point also, which will turn out to be basic feasible solution. And if the basic feasible solution occurs at more than one extreme point, the value of the objective function will be same for all convex combinations of this extreme points. Next result, if there exists a basic feasible solution to an LPB, there exists a basic feasible solution to a given LPB. So if feasible solution exists, then it guarantees a solution to be exist in terms of basic feasible solution. It may happen that some constraint does not play any role. That is a constraint which does not affect the feasibility of the reason is said to be redundant constraint. For example, let us say this one, we had the feasible reason, we have a constraint which is not playing any role to find the vertices of the feasible reason. So we can say that, because even if we consider shaded region below the line, it will satisfy all the conditions, but in that case the solution which you obtain will satisfy constraint, but it has no role to play in optimizing the objective function. So such constraint is known as redundant constraint. Thus, the redundant constraint will not have any effect on the optimal value of the objective function. Thank you.